And we are live. SoundMinds.
SoundMinds, peace. Sunday, brand new edition, just based off of it's Father's Day, and we move it around and all that. So we're coming to you a little bit later. We're not trying to hold you up though. So if you live, please be as active. We're gonna go through this one. This is a very important one, but at the same time, we're not trying to hold you from your families on Father's Day and for Family Day. So happy Father's Day to all.
Happy Father's Day to all, man. That's definitely a great point to start off on, you know what I mean? Because we, all three of us right here on this platform, on this panel, you know, that step up every single week and take time out of our families because we are fathers. So, you know what I mean? That's a great point to set it off with, man. We gonna make this short, you know what I mean, sweet. We gonna hit hard.
And we want to send a shout out to all the mothers who are the mothers and fathers of their household due to a number of different circumstances. We love you too. Shout out to my mom for being there when my father wasn't there. And shout out to my father when he was there, when he couldn't be there.
Yes, love. That's love. Love. There's so much love going around right now. There should be a lot of love going on right now. This is a beautiful day. You know what I'm saying? It was a great day, even weather-wise. So, you know what I mean?
Man.
You know what I mean? Self-suffice. Talk to him. What you do? Self-suffice.
I'll be right back, yo.
Self-suffice. What you do today on Father's Day?
I mean, I woke up. My beautiful wife was already preparing a special Father's Day. You know, vegan, healthy stuff. She knows I don't even eat till 12. I'm fasting, so she prepared it for me and made sure I had it ready so that when I was driving to the studio to do what I love, because you know we love to work on music. I don't like to do music by myself. That's a little known fact for me. I like to collaborate as my constellation, my bro stars and sisters know. So I was on the way to my brother Rasham's crib to do a track we got commissioned. I can't talk about it because it was commissioned as a present for someone. But I was on the way to the studio. My wife had me with the vegan food so that when it was 12 and I was ready to eat, boom, I had the food ready. Rashaman had the beat ready at the studio. The rounds just flowed back to back, and then you know I had to have you harmonize on the track too. Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much, star.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you very much. And so, with that being said, the beauty of this is right. The topic today is self-reflection. Who's in your mirror, right? Very important for us to recognize the fact that when we say Happy Father's Day, we are talking to fathers. We are talking to men who father their children and are actually there, because this is going to segue into our self-reflection as well. We're not talking to baby daddies. We're not talking to people who, or gentlemen or guys who lend sperm and then get lost. You know what I mean? So we're going to be talking about
right now.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I love how you just set the tone with this one. I love how you set the tone with who we going directly at, who we celebrating. Like I said, this is a positive day, but this day ain't getting spread amongst every man that got a seat, like every man that has a child. You feel me? It's fathers. We talking about fathers, and we gonna talk about that today, man. Go ahead, man. I'm glad you set the tone.
So today, yeah. Now we had to. So today we are going to self-reflection is a art for some that haven't mastered, right? So self-reflection, the ability to self-reflect and say, hey, I am this type of person, or I am this, or I am this to my people, or I am this to my community, or I am this as an individual, is very important for us to do because it builds strength within the individual and as well as the community itself. So with that being said, we're going to watch a video and we're going to break it down. We're going to break down all the innuendos. We're going to break down all the intricacies, and we're really going to break it down not only for the clip of the video, but as well as whether it be music, whether it be art, whether it be life, whether it be humans. It's very important to see this video for the importance that it is, right? And this is a disclaimer to all. We don't own rights to the video. We don't own rights to anything having to do with the video. We're playing the video and the clip of the video to make a point that is very, very intricately important.
And this is for sound minds. This is for maturing minds. This is for intellectual minds. This is for leadership minds. This is for fathers, man. Those of us who concerned with fathers and being fathers, supporting mothers, supporting the youth. So this ain't playing around jokes right now.
Right.
Be prepared, see what you get from the clip. Oh, one last thing. As my brother like said, this is an art. Self-reflection is an art. If it was a science, self-reflection, you look in the mirror and describe what you see. It's an art because you have to look in the mirror for a lot of us and look deeper than what you see. Because what you're being told based on your reflection may not be what you really are. This is an art we're about to get into. Listen up.
And that's a great point. I want to also say that this is also a great reflection. Okay? Don't forget the reflection of men that stood with honor. Let's get into it.
I want to hear you say your name. Your name is Toby. What's your name?
Kunta.
Lord God help that boy. They're gonna whip him dead.
What's your name? Say it. Toby. Who are you? Say your name. What's your name?
Toby.
Hi. Say it again. Say it louder so they all can hear you. What's your name?
Toby. My name is Toby.
Hi. That's a good nigger. Cut him down.
Okay.
Take that.
So I'm gonna tell you this right now. This is probably going to be one of the most powerful podcasts we had up to date because of what we're about to do. Everybody knows that movie. That's Roots. We all know the scene, Kunta Kinte, when he was asked what his name was, right? There's a lot of intricacies within that video that a lot of people pretty much never really analyzed that we are currently dealing with now. So one, and I'm going to break it down and we're going to get into it. So one, the fact that the person is having somebody whip Kunta Kinte, right, and asking him what his name is, and he's staying firm and strong on the fact that his name is Kunta Kinte, proudly saying, I am Kunta Kinte, in the sense saying, I am a king. But is asked, what is your name? And until he says the name that the person wants him to say, he won't stop from having him whipped. The person whipping him is a black man. A black man whipping a black man for the system or for somebody else until that somebody else gets what they want out of the person being whipped. Then there's a woman who's watching him, who proudly is watching him. And although he's getting whipped and he's being tortured, she's looking at him with a sense of love and pride, right? There's another man, Lou Gossett Jr., who says, dear Lord, turns to God automatically. This is what we do as a people of color. We're always turning to God. We're always saying, oh my God, well, God will see us through this. And I'm not in any way trying to attack religion, or I'm not trying to attack. What I'm saying is, way too many times, us people of color have been trained to constantly get on our knees and pray when anything happens. So he says, oh God, they're going to whip him dead. He says Kunta again, and being tortured, after being tortured to the point where he changes his response and says, Toby, the woman sitting there looks so disappointed. She looks broken. So after he got broke, she got broke off of the fact that, in a sense, he got emasculated. And he no longer was that king that she seen him as she seen him getting tortured. It hurt for her to see that. But at the same time, it hurt her more when he gave in and said, my name is Toby. Now, we could decipher, we could dissect, we could go in for this for days on millions of ways. Music, our music. We have our people constantly whipping us to weakness for somebody else, right? Men have been emasculated for years. There's been an agenda to the point that as much as our women may necessarily have issues with us as men, right? Or some of us are just boys, but getting into that about Father's Day as well. But at the same time, once we give in to the system and get emasculated fully, I can't tell you what that does to our women, and not only that, but our households. Self-reflection. Who do you see in the mirror? Is it Kunta? Is it Toby? Who are you looking at when you look in the mirror? My brothers, please, let's build on this.
That's a great question. That's a great question. Who do you see in the mirror? Are you Kunta or are you Toby? Are you Kunta standing on yours, standing on you knowing thyself and standing on, you know what I mean? Like standing on exactly what you represent and not folding? Or are you Toby? Did you fold? Are you now a part of the problem? Becoming part of the problem. You know? It could be a becoming part of the problem. Or, you know, self-suffice, you muted. You got Light, fix your camera a little bit.
I'm just saying, yeah.
There you go.
I'm just
Perfect.
saying, yeah. That's really the question, because I truthfully think we at the part where a lot of us don't even know our Kunta.
Okay.
The media has been calling us Toby for so long. Our badge says Toby. Our name label says Toby. Our ID says Toby. Our teacher says Toby. Our employer says Toby. Our co-workers, our friends and associates is saying Toby.
Our last names, most of our last names, family,
is Toby.
Is
Straight
Toby.
up.
Straight up.
Straight up.
Let's be real.
But generations. So it's like, unfortunately, it's difficult to even say, hey, bro, are you choosing between being Kunta or Toby? Because people don't even realize what Kunta is. And we talk about appreciate, debate, create. We talk about noticing something that's beautiful or strong or empowering in your world. And then seeing a debate. Anything that's beautiful, strong, empowering, it gets tested. And that's a debate phase. But if it's worth it, you go through the test. Word up, Ace King. Salute. And then you get to the create stage where you say, okay, now knowing the intricacies of the smoke and mirrors and the challenges, I'm gonna continue to stand for this because it's an ongoing challenge to find Kunta and to raise Kunta. Why was it so threatening to say Kunta rather than say Toby? Because it would mess up the whole plan. When you creating a generational plan where your babies by default will not even know how to say Kunta, and you going against that plan, when you go against a plan like that, you going against that plan for generations to come. So we want to ask this question. When we talk about appreciate, create, debate, when we talk about sound mind, sound body, when we talk about visualizing your goals and seeing things before you manifest them out here, there's a difference between being delusional about what's in your environment and seeing what's in your environment and imagining how you want it to be and starting to change it. When
Can,
you're so ready to be delusional about what's in your environment that you want to escape it, you're gonna be Toby.
yep. Yep.
You
Or
can
I'll do
see
you one
every.
better.
Go ahead.
I'll do you one better. Sometimes, right, looking at that clip, you may very well not be Kunta. You may very well not be Toby. You
Yep.
may very well be the pawn that's whipping the person who they trying to break down. You may very well be the person that's just sitting there talking about, and no disrespect again, but the person who sits there and says, "Dear God," there was more people on that clip that could have started the revolt and said, "Nah, we ain't whipping nobody, sir. Matter of fact, we're putting you and hanging you up to whip you."
Yep.
But part of the problem is that when we start to look at that clip, we start to dissect who we are as a people. Are you the pawn? Are you the pawn who's whipping our own people and breaking them down from Kunta to Toby? Because truth of the matter is, as I said it on the track and I say it all the time, we are born warriors. We are born in that fight, that type of energy that we're always ready to fight because we know what's ours and we know about pride. But the disgusting part about it is that when we're trained to not fight no more, we're constantly in flight, right? Or we're constantly trying to be somebody else's puppet because we are accepted more or because we feel like there's benefits or gain. So, like Self is saying, you could be Kunta, you could be Toby, right? And then the truth of the matter is, you may not be neither. You may just be the one just sitting on the sidelines watching Kunta break down to Toby instead of trying to be a part of the righteousness. You're going to sit there and watch that. Or, today's standards, we'll take out our phone and just record. It's the same thing.
Can
I
I say
believe
since
that's a
we
myth.
can I say since we in a self-reflective state right now, right? Saying
Mm-hmm.
who are we, right? I want to be self-reflective, and like we say, hit the like button. Make sure you get your favorite 60-second clip and share this because these are parts of this podcast that you want to be able to share and get out. But these are self-reflective moments, right? Look, Roots was shown, to us as a youth, in school. Now, being in school, we're already now a part of this system, we're already being, indoctrinated into this system,
Exactly.
unknowingly. We just think it's school, but now we are already a part of this, right? We're already being taught to stay in line, walk on the right side of the of the hallway. You know what I mean? 2 feet away from each other, you know what I mean? Things of that nature. Like sit in this group, sit in that group, sit in that row. You can only sit in the front or you can only sit in the back. Oh, you bad. You get your butt in the front, or you bad, get your butt over there, or you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. That started happening as a youth in elementary school, middle school, all that, right? But check this out. My own personal self. That at that moment that we sat and watched Roots was the moment that I decided that I am now going to find and become my Kunta. You understand? Like I took it and I embodied the rebellious side of what was going on because I understand how we were being forced into something. I understand how we were being stripped of everything of us, of ourself, of myself. So I decided to be Kunta and start earning my side. And as I grew, I now developed that developed me into the conscious human being, conscious man that you see today. You know what I mean? Yes, I literally, you know what I mean, was on both sides of the road, understanding how to be good and understand how to live in this society.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like being in that self-reflective mode, I always had a sense of, you know what I mean, self-dignity, you know what I mean, integrity because I had that Kunta side activated. You
Sound
feel me? I
Minds.
had that Kunta activated. SoundMinds.
Self, you gonna say something?
Oh, you on mute. You on mute. You gotta unmute yourself.
Let's say we always seeing, you know, learning things about the space of the class. Like when I do workshops now that I'm going and I facilitate workshops, I get people in circles automatically.
Right.
Automatically, the kids just learn something. The youth just learn something. The young kings and queens, the future of our world, who will be taking care of us in just a few years, just learn something just by sitting in a circle where you see everyone and everyone sees you regardless of if you're talking or not. It's kind of like this screen right now. When we do this podcast, you usually see all three of our faces right next to each other. That's what happens when you have a circle. A lot of these schools have a structure where certain people in the front and certain people in the back automatically, before the class
Automatically.
even starts, halfway through the
You
class,
already knew where the
they're
straight A students
still
was sitting.
automatically 3/4 through the class, they still sitting in that same place. But at the end of the class, they still sitting. If they haven't gotten kicked out the class or promoted to the go do this task, we got people located in a certain place. And then you have people based on their gender and their bodies located in the place. And these young people are looking at the adults. So what if in that space they always see that a white adult is always the one in charge of the other adults?
Yep.
What if they always see that it's always a white teacher for the most part, and there's one or two teachers of color, and then it's most likely a white superintendent or a white principal in schools where it's mostly students of color? Before the class starts, halfway through the class, at the end of the class, what the brain isn't trained to is to see that based on people's color, they're in certain places and they have certain authorities. That's a math class, a history class, a gym class. That's why we say it's an art. People keep looking at this as a science level. Well, you could do this and you could do this. We're not talking about what you could do. We talking about the patterns people are being entrained into. And that's why if you're not experiencing, if you don't know what Kunta is, you got to find someone who knows what Kunta is. Because you wouldn't even know what we're talking about. Hey, it's just a different name.
Nah.
If it's just a different name, why will our ancestors whip out of knowing our names?
Yep.
Because by default, when you can make people line up in certain ways, expect certain things, and treat people differently based on the color of their skin, it's a lot easier to maintain dominance. I said, bro, who is that in the mirror? Is it the person that looks like the way society has shown you? You deserve to be treated if you have a certain skin color, a certain phenotype, a certain nose shape, a certain hair, a certain knowledge of your ancestors? Or is that person in the mirror, when you self-reflect, something deeper that you can't learn from a teacher at school? Because they can't kill Kunta. They could tell you to call yourself Toby, but as soon as you start self-reflecting, Kunta's still there. That's the gem.
Yeah,
That's
baby.
the gem.
Look, I was a 10-year-old kid saying, I'm here. I'm Kunta. I'm Kunta. I'm a 10-year-old kid saying I'm Kunta. You heard? That's what you gotta look. Let's tie this in, brothers. Let's tie this into Father's Day. Let's now show the distinction of fatherhood, like how we started this podcast.
So my thing is, when you start to reflect on, and it doesn't have to be on a revolutionary type of mindset, right? If you don't want to be, if Kunta and Toby is too intellectual or too much on your spirit or soul, then let's simmer down a little bit, right? Let's fall back a little bit. It's as simple as saying, know who you are. If you grimy, if you a slime ball, if you a straight conniving type of person who's always out to get yours and always out to get, benefit from every single thing you do, put that on the table so that I know how to deal with you better. If you're a type of person who's always constantly going to be giving and constantly be there and constantly support, put that on the table so I know how to deal with you the right way. If you are who you are, be comfortable in your own skin so that you can let that reflect on who you are and let that be the representation of yourself so that I can deal with you accordingly. If you're not a father, don't celebrate Father's Day.
Ooh.
If you a baby daddy, fall back. Baby's daddy day is every other Saturday when you're not there anyway. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is there are people who try to play facades and lifestyles and try to be in a position in which they feel like the mirage or the image of what they feel caters to who they want to be seen as. Yep. And truth is, like I said it before, you playing yourself. You're not playing nobody else.
Y'all want to be seen as Toby.
Yeah, straight up. Or you, sad part, you may not even know you're a pawn and you really think you're a bishop or you're a rook. You're a pawn. Pawns play their positions. Pawns are the first ones to get eaten up just based off of the fact there's nobody here. I had a conversation with somebody who told me people need to learn their positions, right? In a game of chess, you can't start off with your king. Truth is, you can't even start off with your queen, as powerful as your queen is, right? The pawn needs to be moved for there to be movement. You're protecting the king. The king only makes one movement per movement, one space per movement. The queen protects and does everything, but still you need pawns. If you're a pawn, play that position as best you could. But don't try to sit there and try.
Hey, they are. Hold up, they are.
Yeah.
They playing their position as best as they could because we talking about fathers right now. And look, this is a little cutthroat, but at the end of the day, we talking to fathers. Y'all men now. Y'all grown men.
Right.
You heard?
And that's why I say
you something. You playing your position well as a pawn when you being the baby daddy, the father that's not around. You know what I mean? The daddy that's not there for their kid. You know what I'm saying? Not spending time with their kid. Okay, you are that pawn because you know what you did. You actually now shine light on the real kings, the real kings, like myself, like myself. Like the brothers on this podcast right here. You know what I mean? Trust me, we feel real good about fatherhood. Do you feel good about your fatherhood on Father's Day? Every Father's Day, do you feel good about your fatherhood? Come on now, let's go. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
So you saying someone can actually say, I am Kunta. Someone can actually find out who their honorable self is. Who the brothers that stand up for things and it's worth taking some sacrifices and some damage because they care about their children that much. They care about their woman being secure that much. Yes. And they understand that. And they could stand up and say, I am Kunta, but they really not.
Can I add?
So you saying that somebody could be Kunta, but start to give up and say, I'm Toby, but someone could be ready to be Toby. But they was like, I'm Kunta. Because they want that honor. And that's something about that. But that may not really be them.
Today on Father's Day, I woke up today and I made a post this morning. And this is my first public, like even saying it in this form of fashion, right? Never said this publicly, never even like in a sense owned it. But for the last 7+ years, I lived it. Lived it. Okay, regardless, even if my imagination, maybe and my pride or my ego that I battled with told me that I need to be doing something different because society don't look at this, you know what I mean, as right. Right. But my post, when you go follow me at King Rashaman King _Rashaman on Instagram, you're gonna see I said I am a proud, stay at home black father. Okay? That means
Yo,
I spend
when
overtime
this
with my
episode
children.
started, he asked me, "What did I do today?" Part of my Father's Day was going when my wife sent me with the food already, so I could just focus on doing my gig to get this money doing something positive. I went to this man's studio that he built in his crib where he could keep an eye on his children. You know how healthy them kids are?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know how wise those kids are? Like, they see him in the studio. They
Look,
see him in the studio. They see his craft. They see his cameras. They see his production equipment. And I was just, when I came in the studio today, I said, yo, you upgraded the popper stop. It's not like for MCs, we know the popper stop be dangling off to the side. This one was like that. It was like that. I said, it's not dangling. This is an upgraded new, bro.
still at the same time,
That's
tell him during the studio
paying
session,
off.
real father shit. During the studio session, I even had to put my 8-month-old baby to sleep. My 8-month son to sleep. I had to go put him to
He
sleep.
said, hold up.
Took him to hold
I
up.
said, cool,
You write to the beat.
cool.
I go
I'm
put him to
right to the
sleep.
beat. But see, this is what's crazy. You put it on loop. You didn't even leave me to loop it. You made sure this is some hip hop, like recording people, not just hip hop, but recording people. Y'all understand how the zone works. I apologize for anybody else. When you go in the zone, you go in the zone. So I was in the zone because I was looking at like what to write, translating it into lyrics, whatnot. He seen me in the zone. He left it on loop. So I didn't even have to get up and loop it or restart it. So now I'm in the zone. He goes and takes care of his kids while I'm doing my thing, which is part of the process anyway.
Mm-hmm.
As he comes back, I'm finishing off my verse. Then we get back into the booth. Then we get back into the lyrics, the recording, the dub. You see what I'm saying? Now, that's just an example. You don't have to be in hip hop. You don't have to be in music. But like, do you know how hard it is for brothers to figure out a way to like be attached to their family when you currently seeing this Toby depiction of you not supposed to be around your family or let your family know how you make money or let the people you make money with know that you're proud of your family and your lady.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I shouldn't be saying this, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why the
I'm
whips was involved. That's why the
gonna do it.
whips was involved. They taught us to be dysfunctional. We should be proud,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
our children should know what we do for a living and be proud of us. And we should be proud to be with our women faithfully and to be proud of our kids. Something's wrong. Self-reflection.
And I'm gonna do you one better, right?
Let's go. Let's go.
So I wear a shirt today. I don't know if you see it. It says hashtag voice of truth. Again, if it offends you, pardon yourself. So at the end of the day, one of the wickedest things you can do is bring life right into this world and do not, for the most part, equip that life with the best that you can possibly equip it with. The tools. Not only when I say tools do I mean financial. Financial is a part of it, but it's also self-image. What are you teaching your children about their self-image? What are you teaching your children based off of the representation of yourself for them to be reflections of you? So if you're raising a son and your son is seeing how you're treating his mother, or your son seeing how you treating his, your wife or your lady, or however you want to put it, right? Because there's another thing too, where men don't want to kind of claim their women, right? But a lot of times our queens are holding us down, and we don't even respect them enough to claim them or treat them properly to have them on our side. A queen and a king is royalty. Queen and kings in chess stand together. Right? So at the end of the day, when you're not standing together with your queen off of ego, off of self-benefit or for greed or for whatever it is, you're harming your family more than you can ever imagine, right? So self-reflection, this is what we on. Even more so is the poison that you're instilling within your children's brains. Because if you have a son and you're teaching them a certain way, or if a mother has a daughter and she's teaching how to go get it, and she's teaching her how to do certain things on poles or certain ways to get money, and you're harming your children. You're poisoning their minds. So I say that to say this is not exclusive just to men doing wrong. It's Father's Day, so we're sticking to that kind of, but this is also for females. This is also for, at the end of the day, as a parent, your child should not be looking to other households or other mentors or other people to see what life should be or to see how they're being raised and to see if that's corrected, right? And more so, if we had children and bounce on our children, what does that say about us? Now, granted, relationships sometimes don't work. Many times don't work. That doesn't mean whether you divorce or leave your spouse, that you're divorcing or leaving your child or your children. And when you're doing that, I can't in any way sit there and say, Happy Father's Day, when truth of the matter is you haven't earned that. Now, however you feel about that is how you're going to feel about it. But the truth of the matter is, as Rashaman said earlier, we've been indoctrinated to do certain things, and we've been trained and brainwashed to do certain things so that the family structure that we currently live in, especially for Black and brown, is broken already without it ever being formulated correctly to have that proper structure. So when you're leading and helping to keep that goal, I can't respect you. I'm sorry.
Listen,
we could talk about baseball, basketball, we could talk about anything else. But on Father's Day, play your position.
On Father's Day is where I have to step up and if I and say some real shit that may hurt your feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what it is. And you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you know what I mean, we're making that distinction right now. We talking to the man in the mirror, and I'm talking to a proud father in the mirror right now. You heard? Like, so we want you to feel the people that the brothers and sisters that's feeling proud right now as they listening to us as proud fathers and proud parents. You know what I'm saying? Like the ones who are listening to it and looking at the negative that we speaking of and may have a problem with it is only because they are an example of that. And here's another example that I do want to touch on as far as example of fatherhood. Like one thing that I do that I was just talking about the other day, it was like when I'm not around my children, let's say, you know what I mean, I'm doing something as far as work wise or anything where it puts me not around them. I am thinking about them as far as what could I be missing right now. You can so that allows me to cut the time short of whatever I could be doing outside of them. Like that is something powerful to implement in the brain frequencies. You know what I'm saying? In your consciousness, to actually have your consciousness tell you, hey, I wonder what you missing right now. You know what I'm saying? What are they doing right now that, you know what I mean? Let me call and check on them and make sure I ain't missing nothing, because bump that. Like if I'm missing something, I'm on my way. You know what I'm saying?
That's a father. That's not just a dad. That's a father. A father is seeing their kids, their youth, their other members who is around my kids when I'm not there, with the mind's eye.
Yep.
That's why we said, is you just looking in the mirror, as you just looking at your environment? Because your physical environment can be an illusion. You might see me in an environment and not know me and might assume things about me. I gotta know. You know, if sisters is out here, it's summertime, they looking beautiful, they looking at me. I gotta know I'm not out here what you think I am. I'm not like a single guy that in your fantasy is here for you to have a hot girl summer. You know what I mean? I'm a happily married man. I got my kids. And one of the things that I do whenever I'm in front of my kids, and whenever I'm in public, I'm aware that my kids are going to be thinking about their own identity based on how their father was known to refer to their mother, because their mother is part of them too.
Yes.
And so I treat their mother like a queen. You know what I mean? If I'm an OD one way or the other, I'm an OD on the side of letting her know she's beyond the way I would look at any other woman.
Yep.
And that's also something that my kids will never forget. It doesn't matter what I say. They'll remember that.
Yes.
They'll remember that I was always thinking of her
The
and
example
sacrificing
was
the
set.
ego sometimes as a king would for the queen. This is a special person. Your mother is special. Your father is special. And he treats your mother special. Therefore, you, child, are special. You come from a special person that treated another person special. That's important.
That's an
And
amazing
that's not
message.
something that you would just see when you're a man by yourself and your kids ain't around. Are you delusional? Are you deluded by what you see around you? Are you real about who you are within? Who you're gonna be in the next 24 hours? Where you're gonna be that these other dudes out here are not gonna be?
Definitely.
On Father's
And
Day
Marty,
is
thank you
where
for
the
that.
men. On Father's Day is where the men are separated from the boys. It's where the Tobys of the world need to sit down and allow the Kuntas to walk proudly and receive their due honor.
We
You heard?
appreciate you, sir. We appreciate
Thank you very much, Marty. Now,
Thank
so here's the thing too. As we all know, right? So it's kind of like at the end of the day, man, when you're taught certain things in life, it doesn't matter what it is, what you're taught. There's always steps to certain things, and there's always very pertinent, detrimental parts to that. Parenthood is no different. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we sometimes, a lot of people miss the boat on that one. You know what I mean? Whether it be because, like I said, selfish gain or whatever it is. And you need to understand that if you're teaching your young daughter that as a father or mother, this is what they should be doing, or this is the way they should look in life, then when they get just a tidbit of attention or love, right, from anybody, I'm going to be real with you. Work with youth my whole life. I can't tell you, and I'm not getting into personal situations, but I can't tell you how many youth I know that have strayed and went a certain way because of what they weren't taught at home. And I'm not going to say what they were taught at home. I'm saying what they were not taught at home, the lack of teaching. So a young lady can easily decide that her man is going to look or feel a certain way because she feels a certain type of protection. And then when he starts calling her out her name or puts hands on her, it's kind of like, damn, but he loves me though. Because what my father showed me is something similar to this. Now, if a young man is sitting there and saying, yo, my mother taught me this, that, and the third, and it's on a negative route, well, this is the way I should be treating women. Understand what I'm saying is no matter how you slice it, and look down the middle, your children are looking at you as a reflection of this is what this looks like. And when they're wrong about that, all it does, it creates that cyclical, destructive, poisonous type of environment in the next household. So your generation, while you sitting there saying, yo, I'm getting mine, it don't really matter what this, that, and the third look like. My children will get it regardless of what. When their generation and now their parents and doing it to your grandchildren, then you can't really but go so far but to look at yourself in the mirror and say, damn, I did that. So let this be the first day forward, or let it be tomorrow. Some of us always say, now we'll wait until Monday, right? From this day forward, from this time forward, if you're doing wrong and you're doing your family wrong, you need to strap your Timbs up, you know what I'm saying, and be that person that you're supposed to be for your family. Man, woman, father, mother.
I was hiking on the mountain today in the Thames. I'm sorry, I just like you on the wavelength right now. Keep going.
So, you know, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is this: if you're not teaching them correctly, somebody else will teach them something. and it's not going to be you, and it's
Yo,
more than likely
okay,
going
let
to be
me ask
outside
you
your
this.
house.
Let me ask you this. Is this really a negative? Because it was mentioned that, like, okay, people think we being negative about this. We again, it's appreciate, debate, create. Like,
Right.
I let us know in the comments. You know what I mean? Post the most important up to 60 seconds of whatever 60 seconds you think stands out the most, whether you agree with it the most or it triggers you the most. Post that up on your Instagram, your Twitter, Facebook, tag us so we can repost it. We're gonna repost
Right.
everything that y'all repost because we really want to see your perspective. It's self-reflection. When you reflect on what we're saying, what stands out the most to you?
Can I say?
But let
You
us
said appreciate debate, and create.
create. So, so
Yeah, go ahead.
so let me say, like, oh man, in the simplest way possible, right? Not simpler though. In the simplest way possible, not simpler though. Like, can you just try to understand that one of my mentors is named Abiodun Ayewele. We rappers, we hip hop artists, we spoken word artists. A lot of people don't know groups like The Last Poets, Gil Scott Heron came right before hip hop. There would be no hip hop as it were if it wasn't for. And shout out to Public Enemy and DJ Premier. They just put a fire track out. There would be no hip hop as it were and is if it wasn't for Abiodun and Gil Scott. But Abiodun takes time out to answer my calls and call and check on me every now and then and invite me. You know what I mean? Every Sunday, right before the SoundMinds podcast, he opens his house for years, and he's an international award-winning celebrity. He's the most sampled person in hip hop. You know what I mean? All the way from Ice Cube to modern day. Aside from maybe James Brown for the drums, but we talking about vocally. You know, him in The Last Post is the most sampled in hip hop, and yet he takes the time out. Now, this man is like a father figure. All right. In some ways that my father couldn't be, rest in peace, because my father passed away years ago. Is that a negative thing? Is that a negative thing for us right now to be telling y'all, if you're not there, if you're not healthy and sound mind and body, even if your intentions are good, if you don't find a way to make your intentions real and can't be there, is it negative to say that another man will and should be there to provide guidance? Like someone like Abio Doom, you know what I mean? Who I could look at as an elder.
No, it's
Is
not
that a
negative
negative
because
thing?
it's nature. All right. I don't disagree with nature, man. It is what it is, whether it's negative or positive. Shoot, you can't say that a freaking, a hurricane that came through that was developed by nature that had to do what it do.
Bro, did I not bring my son to your crib?
It's nature. Like, yes, you brought my son you brought your son here, and the conversation that we had. Woo!
Do I not refer to you as Uncle Rashaman, Uncle Light when I'm talking about y'all to my son and my daughter?
Facts.
Is it a negative thing to expect other men to play a fatherly, masculine role, uncle role?
But you're talking about but you can't. You're talking about men that consciously do that, which means that are particular men like us that have pride already within our fatherhood.
That's
See,
true.
listen, it
That's
takes
true.
pride in your fatherhood to know and understand and not see that as a negative. The ones who would see it as a negative is the ones that do not have pride in their father, because they know that they are insecure in what
Bro,
they cannot do
when I go to your house,
from the other
even if
men.
we just
From the other
when we
men.
go into the studio, I never will walk in and ignore your kids. I know what the plan is. I know what kind of household you have. When they see me, the standard is high. You know what I mean? The standard is high. It's not like my standard goes down. I'm holding the same standard in my house. When I walk in your house, I'm like, oh, these kids know what a father's supposed to be. I'm going to keep on my tiptoes. I give the daughters a high five, and I don't give them a low little high five either. You know that. No matter if they're the 1 foot baby or the 2 foot, I put it up high. She missing. Oh, try again, because they know what a father's supposed to be, and I have to act accordingly.
Fact.
So,
I'm
so
telling
it's
you.
not like we saying like it's just like you should expect men to step up and look out for children.
Right.
That's
Not negative
normal.
at all. Shout out to
That's
Daniel.
normal. And if you can't do it, you should find some other men to replace you. You shouldn't just be surprised
Or
that your
mentor you.
lady
Mentor.
or your
Hey.
kids look out for other role models. You should be the first to
Extend
find someone else.
it. Extend the
Right,
hand.
right,
Mentorship. You gotta look. At the end of the day, I didn't learn to become the man that I became not by looking at other examples. You feel me?
right,
Shout out to my father. I had my father as an example. You feel me?
right.
But I learned. What I did was I appreciated, debated, and created a
Thank
better
you, Daniel.
version, the next version of my father. You feel me? They say I'm just
Right.
like my father, but I say I'm the next level version of my father.
And
guess
that's
what
the
I
way it's
said to my
supposed to
son?
continue.
And guess what I told my
Right.
son? I just told my son now I'm proud of him because now at 15 years old, I'm seeing that he is becoming the next level, better version of me.
See, that's it.
1,000%.
And if
1,000%.
I walk up to my brother's kids, right, and I don't say I'm proud of you, right? If I don't look at them like my nephews and nieces, and close to how I view my own children, right? That's what Light was saying, bro. Like, I don't know if y'all understand. That's beyond the science and the art, really. Like, you creating something right now. You creating a dysfunction when you don't do that, because
Right.
what that could do is it could lead these children to think their father's something wrong. Now they seeing another man, and for the first time they saying, wait, I'm a teenager now, or I'm older now. And I used to believe in Santa Claus, or maybe my parents was a little bit too nice to me.
Yep.
And they said I deserve love and care. But then you have another man who's around say, I'm proud of you, and reinforcing the same things that their father and their mother's telling them. That's a service you're doing as a father. You kind of support other mothers and fathers and parents around you. And you realize that if you don't do that, what you're doing is you're kind of breaking that thing down. So now they can come and see you as the Toby, basically,
Yep.
and feel like, oh, I like Toby better. But Toby's not instilling integrity in you.
Right.
Toby's not instilling love. Toby's not instilling the harsh lessons and the sacrifices that's really going to help him survive. You get
And
what I'm
not
saying?
only that, the truth of the matter is, man, at the end of the day of all things, right? Everybody knows who they really are. So when we do this podcast, self-reflection, whether you got everybody else fooled and tricked, you know who you are. I'll put it out there. I said this before too. My Facebook default picture is me looking in the mirror. Not a lot of people could do that with comfort. You know what I'm saying? And I think at the end of the day, when you could, like I said, fool who you wish. At the end of the day, when you go to bed at night or when you lay your head, wherever you lay, whatever time you lay, you need to self-reflect and look at yourself and say, damn, I got a hashtag that I put down all the time. No suckerism allowed. If you a sucker, you're not allowed in my circumference. Straight up. Because I don't want that to rub off on me. And I don't got to worry about me changing because I'm always who I am. No matter who I'm around, there is no different, of course, I step into a boardroom and I'm having a meeting. I'm going to be that person. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the
Living
day,
through every situation, know that that's it. LiteSkin's
at
an
all
acronym. I
times.
try to tell y'all this like so many times, yo.
At all
Listen.
times. So at the end of the day, it's just if you have everybody else fooled, but you know who you are, you need to look at your eyes in the mirror and listen. I should have said this in the beginning. So I'm not talking to nobody in particular. If you feel like I'm talking to you particularly, feel free to call me. Let's have a discussion. Let's have that conversation, that hardcore conversation, because truth of the matter is, the more we sit there and say that life is full of roses and daisies and lilies and we're sitting there living this in this matrix, the less we become stronger. So I cannot
Add me
sit
to the
back.
conversation too.
Yeah, let's have full
share the
fledged.
Zoom link. Add me to it because I'm in there. I'm ready to. This is something that we could debate all day.
Right. And
I don't care. I don't
this
care
is a
what problems
generalized.
you going through in life.
Mm-hmm.
Like even with like, I mean, yo, this I've been through all the type of problems. Like, you know what I mean?
So,
I fought for spending time with my children,
right,
regardless of what
right,
problems I went through with
right,
my children's mother. That
Mm-hmm.
never took away from the time that I executed and tried to
right,
execute. That was there. Like
right.
whatever problems we got, please. Like I gotta get my problems now is to get and see my child. You
That's
know what I'm
right.
Mm-hmm.
saying? If we broke up, then the agreement, the only conversation we need to have is about my child. And I'm trying to tell you, like, that we could debate all day on how it's hard. She ain't
Mm-hmm.
talking. She
Mm-hmm.
cutting the
Right.
phone off. There's
Mm-hmm.
ways around it. Use your
Mm-hmm.
communication. Use
Mm,
your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts. Use
mm,
your mind. You feel me? Don't react off anger. Anger is only gonna make the
Mm-hmm.
situation worse when you only trying to keep the situation cool so you can see your child. That like at the
Exactly.
end of the day, it becomes too.
So you could have all these great rationalizations and reasons
Yep.
to not show up as a father,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like really,
Mm-hmm.
you got people that supposedly look like they're making more money or supposedly more respected than you, basically convincing you with strong compelling to sacrifice you being a parent,
Right,
a
and
father.
Right.
we're not talking about nobody specific either. Like I'm literally, this is
Right.
They not
Right.
because we done heard it
and
all,
they
yo.
not
We done heard it all, and trust me, we done been through it all, yo.
They're not giving you special, and even in nature, I'm gonna just go with what I've seen in nature because, like, I'm not SoundMinds is not like a politically correct show. You know what I mean? It's a
Right.
show where we
Right.
care about people so much that we try to say things from the best of our experience,
Yes,
beyond what
Mm-hmm.
we've been
it's
told
a
is true. You know what
sound
I'm saying?
mind perspective.
Sound minds. So it's
Thought
like I've
provoking.
actually,
Thought provoking. Is at all times we here to make you think about your situation. And I'll say this all the time. Never will I say that what we say on here is etched in any stone. It's not a commandment. It's not in the Constitution, which the Constitution switches when based on benefit. But what I'm saying
Mhm.
is, at the end of the day, we're speaking to provoke thought. So we're not attacking. We're not sitting there and putting people in a box. We're saying, take this gem and this jewel, do with it
Yeah.
as you wish.
This is a perfect example. Daniel said, I became a parent at 15. As a brother who never had his father guide him in life, I'm grateful for the elders in the community who gave me guidance on what a
Fire,
father should be, what responsibility is.
fire.
And notice, see, the petty ego cast is gonna say it's hate or negative what we're talking about when we saying
Mm-hmm.
people gotta step up as fathers. They wouldn't even take what Daniel just said. He said elders plural, right? Because their
Mm-hmm.
whole thing is, oh, another man replaced me, or this or that. It's not even another man. It's men
Right.
in general. Any men that's around that see children in need of help is gonna try to extend a hand.
Stop
And
getting
any
Mm-hmm.
fascinated
child
with yourself, Toby.
that has enough self-respect to reach out for role models is gonna see in any man that's around, if they're a boy, if they're more like leaning towards masculinity as a boy, they're gonna reach out to those guys. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they thinking it's, oh, this man's gonna replace me because they're thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about their kids. The
At
kid
all
needs
times.
role models. I
At
can
all
and
times.
you know, one thing I think we kind of led up to saying is the older your parents, the older your children get, the more they shouldn't just look to their own parents because
Mm-hmm.
the whole point is they're supposed to go beyond you. So they're supposed to learn the principles and character from you, but then apply that too if you're not into quantum physics, if you're not into um whatever, you know, subway painting,
Right.
choreography, if you're not into that thing, they should always respect the principles and character you give them, but look to other women and men who are experts in that field, right? So
Right.
you preparing them for how to get respect from other people. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we doing. We preparing them
Mm-hmm.
so when somebody says, whose kid is this? Right? They saying it like, wow, this person really works well. They know how to show up. I have no problem teaching them everything I know. Whose kid is this versus whose kid is this? Like, yo, this kid is entitled. They wasting my
Exactly.
time. I'm losing my money and my value trying to help this kid out. I ain't got get out of here. Whose
Yep.
kid is this?
Exactly.
It's not
And
you raising them to overly protect them and be the only man they'll ever respect. That's fear. You know, that's low
yeah,
self-esteem. So
yeah.
you gotta have
And
high self-esteem yourself to give them that
right.
esteem.
And that's the thing that Rasamah touched on. A lot of it is insecurities.
Right.
These people, dudes and females, right? I'll just say
Mhm.
these dudes, just because.
Yeah,
But
no, we talking about fathers.
your insecurity is such a weakness that you try to overcompensate with these fake images that you create because you're being accepted by those that you don't necessarily need to be accepted by. If you're failing your children, I don't care if, all due respect, I don't care if God himself said, sit on the left hand of me. I respect everything you've done. If your children can't respect you, I don't even care that God did that. So if you're trying to get any type of kudos or stripes or applause or any type of anything, acceptance from somebody else, but you're failing your children, who do you need that acceptance from? Because your children need you more than anybody needs you. When you leave, so when I hear I am my brother's keeper, right? Or people tell stories about, yo, I hold my peoples down, but you don't hold down your children. I need to question, who are you? You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So, and with that being said, the truth of the matter is that failing your children doesn't necessarily look any type of way. It could look various amounts of ways. If you're putting your children down, if you're doing anything where you're absent from your children's lives, or maybe you're present, but you're absent-minded, or you're absent from the home, or you're not. So it doesn't, like, don't sit there and say, yo, but, for holidays, especially Christmas, I buy my son and my daughters all the gifts that they need. I'm there for them to provide dinner. But if you're teaching them how to sleep away from your household, or you're teaching them how not to be a parent when they become parents, it's a responsibility being a parent. If you wasn't ready for that, you should have never took that
That's
role on.
almost a dysfunctional lesson in itself. You basically teaching them to show up, give gifts, and that's more important. You teaching them there's something more important than being there, than actual listening, than actually respecting them, that they have
Time.
no value. And you kind
Time.
of teaching them. See, this is, a lot's going
Nothing
on in
is
the country
more
right now.
valuable. Nothing is more valuable than time.
Nope,
We
not at
Okay.
all.
we got
The,
we got a
Not at all.
situation now where people are realizing that part of the violence against men of color through white supremacy and racism in America. I mean, when you got people like fighting in the Middle East that stop and pause to say Black Lives Matter and feel sympathy for us, like,
Mhm.
we got a real dysfunctional situation.
Right.
And one of the things people is doing is looking below the surface. And part of looking below the surface is seeing there's this real hatred and fear of men of color. And part
Right.
of that is because of the subjugation of women in general, but white women in particular. And this is interesting because white women have a special privilege when they say they're offended or they're scared or they're hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just lock any man of color up instantly. They'll do
Sure.
anything they can. There's a white woman that's offended. But this is a complexity of race, right? White women in particular are seen as property of white men, and that's why they didn't have the right to vote. So even in all their privilege is used to subjugate black women and black men and women of color on top of that. And we're not addressing the subjugation of white women under white men. They're not seen as valuable, protected things historically by
Right.
those who are racist and oppressing men of color. At the root of that is a treatment of white women as precious property. And when you
Mm-hmm.
treat a woman as a naive, innocent property that doesn't know better and she has to be protected, you got to come up with this scary boogeyman that justifies you not respecting that woman's opinion and treating her as property. So
Sound minds.
now,
Damn.
so
Damn.
now, so now we come back to what happens to men of color historically. And we look at it through the real lens because people, the puritanical abolitionist state, you know, all men is equal, does not want to talk about the sexual aspect, but how could you not? Because that's very much at the root of it. Every time they say you got to treat everyone equal and not hurt black men, but they don't talk about this sexual idea of putting fear into white women that you can't speak for yourself or you can't be attracted to a different person. And it's okay for us to be violent towards you because ultimately we're protecting you from those boogeymen over there. Then you see why, even though people know all these nice things, they still don't feel like bad when we get killed and harmed and murdered.
Damn.
You see what I'm saying?
These gems, though. These gems on a Sunday.
So here's the question, right? Because we know Black Lives Matter. We know we got to touch on what's going on in some way in the midst of Father's Day, right? We got to say this to white women, like, we are all dealing with this white supremacy and racism together. Okay, it's dysfunctional and we dealing with it together, right? But you got to understand that this idea that you are naive or you are a piece of property that's being protected is different from you being loved. Just like a slave master and slaver could say, I love black people. I love my slaves. Right? And I would believe them because they love you as a slave. They don't love you as a person, but they love you as a slave.
But hold on. So
get out there and pick that cotton.
Right.
I love when I get to subjugate you. I love when I get to whip you.
We going to lighten the mood. I will also say that happens in our culture of hip hop. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because when you are used to subjugate and to be misused or to help paint a picture or a narrative that hurts the people that you're trying to hurt. Self-reflection, y'all. We covering all boards. You know what I mean? And we hitting the hour 7 mark. So we covering all boards and we gonna wrap up soon. But the truth of the matter is, the topic at hand, it's not just about horrible, disgusting fathers. It is self-reflection on so many levels of who you are. Are you Toby? Are you Kunta? Are you the pawn helping the whip? Are you the person, whoever you are, notify yourself so that when you're speaking to people, it is a more honest conversation of who I'm dealing with. So when I'm dealing with you, if you're a clown, I want to know that you're a clown so that when I'm around the circus, I can sit there and say, well, damn, all right, cool, the setting is right. But don't try to act as if you're, for the most part, CB. I know a lot of people, man, probably don't remember this movie, man. CB4. Dudes that was out there, they were out there acting like they were thugged out until they really got ran up on, and then it was like, damn, hold on, that's not really me. I'm just acting. Oh, chill, please. What I'm saying is, be who you are in your own skin at times that. Whenever I see you in different settings, I don't want to see a different you. Yep. If I really know you. Is it
acceptable for someone to get mad that they're called a failure or that they're called that they not doing something if they signed up to do it and didn't show up? Is it acceptable for them to be offended that they're checked or dismissed or replaced if they chose to be that title, but didn't use the power and responsibility of the power? Because I'm seeing people be mad and offended. Like, for instance, race. I'm seeing people say, I'm not a racist. How dare you call me a racist?
Right.
Is it acceptable for people to be offended that they're being called racist?
Shouldn't be.
If they're not offended to be racist, is it offended for someone to be? Is it acceptable for someone to be offended that their fatherhood is being questioned if they're not offended about not being a father?
Right. Shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. And if that honesty if the honesty hurts too much, switch your game up. You know what I mean? Step up. If you're doing anything that you shouldn't be.
This is
right. This is
self-reflection. You know, we only come in sound minds. You know what I mean? This is just a sound mind reflection right now. This is us speaking to us at the end of the day,
Right.
speaking to us
Word
and
up.
our brothers and
Word up.
brothers and sisters that's listening that actually can comprehend what we saying. And if you comprehend what we saying
Thank y'all
and you
too.
feel some type of way,
Right.
it's time for you to make an action. It's time for you to make a move. And that's all we inspiring right now. That's all we want to do on this Father's Day special. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
think we definitely came and did that. I think we definitely came and hit key points on the distinction of fatherhood and what fatherhood looks like in a self-reflective mode right now, because
Right.
it's time celebration. Days of celebration, let me say, days of celebration are days of reflection. For example, Juneteenth. Juneteenth was a day of reflection. Happy belated Juneteenth, right?
Right.
I had
Right.
to sit back, play some videos for my children. Look, all five of my children in the living room. I stood up like my TV was a projector out here, and I played the video. I'm the presenter. I play the video, and then I pause the video, and I give you certain talking points on what I understand and what you need to understand, and because you're gonna understand it coming from me better than what you hear it coming from the TV. So let me explain it to you, break it down, and
Right.
make you understand why Juneteenth is important, why we will implement this in our lives, and why you should implement this in your life as a celebration and a time of reflection from where we are, where we were, and where we are now. You know what I mean? Like, I did that on that day. So we celebrating Father's Day. We celebrating a time of reflection as a father on yourself, and this is a time to
Yo,
take
I'm
action.
all right. You just unlocked the bonus round. All right. Now this often happens because it's almost like a studio session and a cipher when we together. All right. I'm gonna say something that is not like you're not gonna hear on the regular Father's Day podcast. You're only gonna hear sound, mind, self-reflection,
Sound
wisdom,
Mars.
and mirror. Do you realize one of the ways you know you succeeding as a father, as a
Mm.
father,
When
is
you
that
go ahead, go
people
ahead.
take you for granted. People don't be surprised when you do something that fathers do. Your kids ain't surprised. Your children ain't surprised. Your wife, your lady is not surprised.
Right.
They take it for granted.
Right.
When they hear your voice, they don't think it's exceptional. Now, if they do go out of their way to appreciate your voice, that's cool too. And thank you for definitely to our women that appreciate our voice and our platform and say, look, listen to your dad. Did you ask your father? Thank you so much. That is the greatest thing ever.
Right.
At the same time, to my fathers out there, bro, one of the ways you know you're doing well as a father is people don't get too excited about your voice because your voice makes them feel safe. It's normalized. If people aren't used to you hearing your voice and your presence and not taking it like it's a crazy miracle, you got to step it up.
Right.
You
A
got to
thousand
step it
percent.
up to the point where they taking you for granted. And if you, again, like me and Light was saying, like if it's an ego thing, it really, you got to check the ego. Like, you just have to. Like, this isn't debatable. It's not political correct right here. We're just telling you what it is. Like, at some point you got to check your ego and know if you're really trying to be the best father you can. You want them to get to the point where they take you for granted, to the point where when you're not around, they could kind of picture what you would say. They
Right.
might be able to picture memories and conversations you had. Now, if you so interested in being surprising and exciting and showing up with the crazy Christmas gifts and it being rare for them to hear you and beg you to say something, then you're gonna have some great ego boosts. That's gonna be good for your dopamine. That's
Temporary.
really great. That's really great for someone with low self-esteem. Like, we get
That's
that.
that's
But,
that
but
temporary
that's
high.
not us. That's
Right.
not what
Not
we
at all.
here for. We're not
Not
here
at
for the
all.
dopamine hits. We here for these children to grow to be self-sustaining and sufficient. And then you go talk with other fathers, and you have the longer conversations where you have insights and build like this. But your presence and your voice around your children, your lady, your whoever, your partner, should be taken for granted. When you really went into this father thing, you should know that they could do without you for a moment. Like right now, when we do this podcast, we all spent time with our families already on Father's Day, and after this, we gonna spend more time with them. They don't care. We're like, we good. They watching their movie, they doing their thing. Like that's what you want to be.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this. I know it's breaking some people's hearts, but like, you're not gonna hear this on the Average Father podcast. Like, it's not about the hallmark moments that you always see, where it's like, oh, dad, da 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 da. Like, it's about the in between where they're not overly desperate for you, because it's normal for you to be around. It's normal that they always know they could call you whenever they need to. That's sacrifice.
1,000%. Yep.
And
that's truth right there. That's the truth.
Seconds, man. Family, y'all got 60 seconds. I want to see y'all 60 seconds tagged to us on our social media. On our social media, I want to see y'all 60 seconds of this podcast tagged to us. Our social media handles are in the description. I want to see this.
We will repost all of them.
And hashtag SoundMinds Sunday. Hashtag SoundMinds Sunday. Do not miss any more gems, y'all. We're going to start to wrap it up. Leonard, I read a comment by Leonard who said, for the most part, everything starts at home, and it does. And if your home is broken, right, and broken doesn't necessarily mean financial. Home is more so, home could be anywhere. Home could be in a cardboard box. And if you're teaching correctly, then you're teaching right at home. So I love that comment that it definitely does start at home.
Yes.
So try to do the best that you can from home, right? And if you're not, then you need to step your game up. If you're in home, and then we're speaking about the fathers, but in regards to individuals, if you need to self-reflect within your own home, within your heart and who you are as a person, let me know who you are from jump, so I don't have to waste time trying to decipher and figure out who you are and who you can be to me and who I could be to you and how you could take from me, and just throw it out on the table so we can have these outright conversations.
You might have to father yourself for a minute before you father other people. Just be real about it, please.
I will say, so on the wrap up,
in closing,
say,
yes, sir. In closing,
yeah,
everybody got
definitely
closing points.
Yeah, we got. So I will say, the podcast. This is our 7th episode. The 10th episode, right? We already in 7th. Crazy. SoundMinds. The 10th episode, right? So you're gonna start seeing us promote the 8th episode along with the 10th episode. The 10th episode, we're gonna have a dope interview by or we're gonna be interviewing one of the dopest MCs, man, part of an iconic group, which was at that time Punching Words, Wordsworth, Brooklyn's own. Also, Pearl Gates, who is Washington Heights' illest. I knew him from young, and I seen his progression, and they did an album together called Champion Sounds. So the 10th episode for SoundMinds is going to be Champion Sound, SoundMinds Sundays, right? And we're going to start promoting that, probably putting some of that music. And if you have any questions, but the 8th episode, we're going to start releasing what that topic is going to be on Wednesday. We need y'all here live, y'all. Whoever was here today, we thank y'all. Tell a friend to tell 10. Tell people to come through so we can have these live conversations. I am LiteSkin, LiteSkin, stands for living it through every situation known to nature. My handle on IG is RealLiteSkin123. I thank y'all as I do every Sunday. I thank the fact that I get to build with these two brothers right here, because we're not trying to necessarily change anybody. We're definitely trying to change the world, though, as best as we can. So whoever anybody is, that could be a spark to anybody. If you take this and you took it personal, you take any of our episodes and take it personally for you, like I said, I'm cool with having hard conversations. Please give me a call if you think it was personal towards you. It's never personal. This is the sad part is that it's so generalistic and so general to our people that we had to have this conversation. We had to start to provoke thought so that we can change the households, change our mentalities, change us, change our people. So with that being said, I salute y'all. Happy Father's Day to the real fathers. With that being
Yes.
said as well, happy
Yes.
Father's Day to some of the mothers that do the jobs of the fathers, and I salute y'all. Thank
Yes.
you so much for your Sunday, y'all. My brothers.
Yes. Self-suffice. You got some last words for the family?
You know that, bro. You know it. I want to say I love my brothers right here. Thank y'all. It's an honor to be here.
Sound
The
Moss.
time went fast. And we talk a lot too. We do like 90 minutes an episode, and yet we on the 7th episode. So let's salute that. Hopefully,
Right.
we're inspiration to our youth and our students and anybody else. Like, we didn't have a perfect microphones. We started with cracked cell phone screens. We tried multiple
Mm-hmm.
softwares. If you look at our first episodes, you might just do that for the fun. There's times on there where you see us talking about how to connect and use the software better, and we're still working on it. But we
Right.
moved ahead. We moved ahead. So there were times where I looked in the mirror and I said, yo, I'm out of shape and I'm skinny and that's who I am, you know? And then there was one point where I looked in the mirror and said, oh, I'm the dude that just looks at what I've been. I'm not the dude who works on that. And you know, like
Mm.
Oh,
Flat.
out here, huh?
don't make me pull back the shirt, you know what I mean, and show the stats. But I looked at a picture of
Flexing on the
myself with my
Father's Day.
wife. Like this morning I looked at a picture of me with my wife and she was like, wow, like that's crazy how different my
Mm-hmm.
body used to look, you know what I mean? But what's funny is it's not my body. It's that when I look in the mirror and the way we talk about on this episode, I look at what I do with my body. I have a relationship with my body, the type of stuff, food I put in my body, the type of exercise, the type of rest I try to get, which rest is still my biggest struggle. The simple things like getting water, always a struggle because it's so simple, you know. Telling your kids you love them, the older they get, when it gets cornier. Trying to sneak a hug in with your kids when it gets less cool. You know, it's not about do you hug your kids. It's about when you don't hug your kids and it's not cool anymore, do you still make that effort? When your kids
Right.
got the video games and don't want to talk to you and you're not in the same city or house because you're on a gig, do you still make the effort? Do you still make the effort? Do you still want to hear their voice? Do you still understand that when they seem to be ignoring you, they still desperately need you to talk to them, but they're not going to tell you that the older they get. That's who I am when I look in the mirror. There was one point when I looked in the mirror and I noticed that a lot of my conversations were about, oh, I got pulled over by a cop here, and this cop did this, and this police brutality this, and we going through it right now, and I'm in rallies and protests. But oddly, I don't talk about issues with the cops like that. I talk
Right.
about defunding the police and uh, taking care of our neighborhoods in better ways and using money better. But I don't talk about it as a dramatic, interesting thing, my run-ins with the cops, because that was becoming me. I saw that I was becoming the person who you expect to hear talking about issues with the cops instead of
Mm-hmm.
issues with poetry and
Mm-hmm.
positivity and youth empowerment programs. And Pup could tell you, all we do now is have story upon story. In the midst of all these things that happen with cops that's dysfunctional, we got way more people that's gonna hear stories about us and the kids and how amazing jobs they did and the lyrics they came up with and how the teachers came together and what the schools did. That's who I decided to be. Not
Yep.
because things ain't wrong with the cops, but because what my contribution is when people think of me. Oh, this is a dude that's always talking about uh uh uh, uh being victimized? Or is this a dude who is not going to gaslight victimization, is going to be aware of it and change it, but is constantly giving you parts of the solution at the same time?
Right.
So I just wanted to come full circle with that. Looking at myself in the mirror, I realized it's not seeing who you were and what your history is always, it's seeing what you're doing with your history. It's both.
1000%.
SoundMinds, y'all. I'm up.
Sound Moss.
Wow.
The King Ra.
Rashaman.
Father's Day, man. Father's Day.
Yes, sir.
Man in the mirror. Along this topic, I mean, we just definitely dove in, and I want you to definitely hit that like button. Make sure you
Please.
share. and
Subscribe.
share your
Yeah.
favorite clips. Share your favorite clips
Yes.
from this.
Leave
And
a repost, all of them.
I'm gonna leave the family with this. What we talked about, we skimped over a word. We talked about it a couple times, but we just like used it in a part of our conversation. But what I shared with you earlier today was the main part of why I shared it. And this was talking about the ego. And when you brought up the ego, as far as when, as a father, you got to sacrifice, certain parts of your ego so you can be the best father that you can be and be around for your children. Be around, be there, be attentive, be aware. You feel me? Be compassionate, be be in tuned completely with what they are thinking and need. You understand? Like sacrifices of the ego, right?
Right.
My post that I talked about earlier of me saying that I'm a proud stay at home black father was me showing you that I conquered that side of my ego. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of y'all may have a lot of trouble with conquering your ego, to which will result into spending more time with your children. Hey, maybe it's you staying in the house all day, 24/7. You don't go out, don't go nowhere. Just for an example, because it's something that I do almost every day. You feel me? Because there's no need to go in front of, bring other energies around for no reason. It's just you and them. You know what I'm saying? And that's a sacrifice, because your ego want to be out, want to be outside, want to be around, want to see what's popping outside. Everybody, you got that mentality of let me go see what's going on outside. But
And the only way you see
sacrifice
Rashaman do
the
that when
ego.
he's at his son's wrestling match,
Yeah,
when he's at
and
his daughter's school. So be
you
clear, when he
sacrifice
says
that
he's
ego.
with them and he's being humble on that, he's saying he's where his kids is at. Don't
Right. I'm
misconstrue it
glad
like
you
he's
said that.
scared
Thank
to
you.
go
Thank you.
outside. You know what I
Thank you.
mean?
Oh
Like
yeah.
his kids is active. Like his son just won the wrestling award for their whole city area. Like, and he's there supporting him at the games. He's there supporting other kids in these hallways. Like you, I'm just gonna shout you out real quick so they don't get it misconstrued. I seen times where Rashaman was at a school supporting his kids, and these other kids that didn't have guidance, when he sees them acting up because they don't have fathers in their life, he'll pull them aside like, "Yo, what's good with you?
That's a
Let me
fact.
holler at you real quick."
That's a fact.
So be
That's a
clear
fact.
about that. He's
That's a
talking
fact.
about being where his kids at, not
Being
like
where your kids
not
at,
being
and I was
involved.
using being where your kids at is in the most safest place, which is home. And if you
And
gotta
then you in the
sacrifice
schools
being
with
home,
me, like
that's your ego that's telling you not to be home. Trust me, if your
ego.
kid, like, you know what I'm saying, like, so me saying that was really honoring that side of me, conquering that side of my ego, and I want to inspire other fathers to spend more time with their children regardless of the battle that their ego is putting them through, because I
That
know that
sound
we
like a
go through them
Kunta move to
battles.
me.
You know
Sound like a
what
king move to me.
I'm saying?
You know what
Cause you
I mean?
Kunta.
Right.
Kunta saying, yo, listen, man, we don't gotta go nowhere. We here, or let me go where you at. Wherever you at, I'm there.
Right.
I don't care. I don't even care if people there that I don't like. I ain't even gonna pay attention to them. I'm gonna be paying
Right.
attention to you, baby girl, or you,
Mm-hmm.
son. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that. Like, and you stand on that. Like, stand on that
Mm-hmm.
honorably. No bringing no drama, no nothing. You come, like, there's been so many times where I don't need to say anything. I could just be in the present. My presence there brought so much joy to my children without even have to say anything.
Right.
Time, family. Time, my brothers. Time, my
Mm-hmm.
fathers, my people with my brothers with children. That's
Mm-hmm.
elevating to this father status that we so proudly to be
Right.
at.
Oh yeah.
It's time, not money,
Oh yeah.
not money, not anything else, not anything material. It's time, yo.
Yep.
time.
Dope.
Being there.
Dope.
And that's what I want to leave you with. And that's all I got for you because we just went in on this Father's Day special.
Listen, man, it was much needed. With that being said, with this episode, we're about to end it. Just always question yourself: are you Kunta? Are you Toby? Are you a pawn? Or you were just somebody we shouldn't even be dealing with? But with that being said, y'all, respect to everybody. SoundMinds Sundays, another gem under the belt. Thank y'all all for everything.
Don't miss any more gems.
No more, please. Please don't do yourself the disservice.
Share the hashtag SoundMinds Sunday. Repost your own favorite clip under 60 minutes. As long as you tag us, we will post all of y'all. We want to see. We want
60 seconds.
don't repost 60 minutes of this. That's copyright infringement. You posted out your whole video. You got a license.
Word up, yeah.
Nah, real.
Shout out to our viewers. Shout out to the viewers in the comments. Y'all be on point every week. And I want these views to get up. But guess what? I'm not even worried about that because at the end of the day, every viewer that comes in and engages with us on our frequency. And that's what matters the most.
SoundMinds.
Grateful. We appreciate y'all.
Definitely.
Happy Father's Day, y'all.
Happy Father's Day. Much love.
One.